Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Melanie Dotson. Topping your news, Mississippi authorities arrested 4 women accused of engaging into a scheme to smuggle cell phones, tobacco, and other contraband into state prisons. Reports say one suspect is 22-year-old Sharice Richardson of Leroy, Alabama. Richardson was training to be a corrections officer when she was arrested on January 25th. The state corrections department says an inmate had been paying several people to smuggle contraband into the South Mississippi Correctional Institution in Leakesville and other prisons. Richardson allegedly told investigators she received about $700 from an inmate's relatives to smuggle in contraband. Authorities say 43-year-old Regina Mason of Hickory, 44-year-old Demetrius Taylor of Meridian, and 32-year-old Russia Keys were also arrested on conspiracy charges. Here in the Delta, a familiar face back in office at one local police department after locals voted Police Chief Patrick Johnson out of office a year ago. Johnson returned yesterday with a judge order of reinstatement, and while many residents are happy about the return, some city officials do not agree. Patrick Johnson has served as Shelby's chief of police since 2010, but his service ended when the Board of Aldermen voted for his removal. The question now is why.
They never could give a reason.
And without reason, Johnson says he was placed on multiple suspensions. In February of 2015, he was removed as the city's chief. But by the looks of things, locals are glad to have him back.
We got exactly what we want, our Chief Pat Johnson back.
The citizen is not concerned about all this publicity, but the citizen is concerned about who's going to protect them.
Johnson tells us his goal is to reduce the city's crime to improve the well-being of its people.
Crime rate, it don't went outstanding, so I plan to calm the crime rate down.
Members of the Board of Aldermen say the mayor is not eager to welcome Johnson back. However, as you see here, this court order reversed the mayor's decision and reinstated Johnson as chief.
I'm glad to be back in my seat. Yes, ma'am.
Johnson tells us he lives by this quote, something that helps him make sense of it all.
Well, they always stated to me, if you never had a problem from someone, that means that you wasn't doing your job. But if you're doing your job correctly, you're going to always have a problem from someone.
The Board of Aldermen, along with the mayor, plan to meet as soon as next week. We reached out to the city's mayor and interim police chief. We are still awaiting their phone call. Well, Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant proclaiming April Confederate Heritage Month, and it isn't going over well with everyone. The proclamation was posted to the Mississippi Sons of the Confederate Veterans website. The governor signed it just days before legislators killed bills that would have removed the Confederate battle emblem from the state flag. Governor Bryant says it's important for all Americans to reflect openly about the country's past in order to gain insight from mistakes and successes. Larry McCulney is the Army of Tennessee commander for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. In a phone interview with WXVT, he tells us his Confederate Heritage Month is an opportunity for people to learn more about Southern history.
And anybody can be offended by anything.
Confederate symbols have widely been debated since the slayings of 9 black worshipers last year at a historic black church in Charleston, South Carolina. Well, one university reaching out to grade students about unlikely career choices. Delta State University's Tech Savvy program welcomed dozens of students today from 6th to 10th grade to learn more about careers in technical fields. The event was specifically geared toward young girls who have an interest in science and math. Those who attended had the opportunity to listen to female professionals explain how technical careers are not just for the guys. Well, if you need a flu shot, one local clinic has you covered. Health officials say we are in a potentially extended flu season, which means a closer look at your health could make a huge difference. North Sunflower Medical Center, through the South Rouville Health Clinic, has decided to give away free flu shots between the hours of 8 a.m. until 12 midnight, 7 days a week. The clinic says these flu shots are for anyone who has not already received a flu shot, and if you do not have insurance, that's not a problem. According to health experts, if you do contract the flu after receiving the vaccination, symptoms and sick time are usually a lot less. Well, a little goes a long way when it comes to losing weight and the latest on the Zika virus. Here's Marley Hall with some of the week's top health stories. All right, thank you, Marley. Here's Denise with a second look at your forecast. Denise, I truly enjoyed this beautiful weather today. What about you?
It was gorgeous out there, yes.
Definitely. All right, coming up on your Delta News at 10, we'll have the latest on the presidential campaign trail. You're watching WXVT, your Delta News at 10. Make it 2 in a row for Hillary Clinton with overwhelming support from black voters. The former Secretary of State won the South Carolina Democratic presidential primary, beating Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Craig Boswell has the story from Washington, D.C. All right, thank you, Craig. Just after the break, find out what brought hundreds of Deltons together even before the crack of dawn. We'll have that story in 2 minutes. You're watching WXVT, your Delta News at 10. An early morning event drawing a huge crowd for one local club. The Kiwanis Club of Greenville held their 38th annual pancake breakfast today at the Buster Brown Community Center. Customers had a chance to dine in or carry out a full course breakfast for only $5. Organizers say the proceeds from the annual breakfast support a variety of scholarships and programs to support children of all ages in Washington County.
We actually help children.
Last year, the club served about 700 people. Organizers tell us they raised more than $9,000 last year, and they believe they've exceeded the amount this year. The club says all money raised will go back into the community. And coming up in sports, local teams try to punch their tickets to Jackson. Steven is next with all of your high school playoff basketball highlights and scores. This is WXVT, your Delta News at 10.
And that's going to wrap it up for a busy day of sports, a lot
Busy
of
day,
basketball.
definitely.
Teams looking forward to heading down to your neck of the woods, down in Jackson.
And you know what? Even though Tougaloo lost, they're still winners.
Oh, that's right. That's
in
right.
my heart,
Yeah.
my alma mater.
There you go. I forgot about that. A
Full
bulldog
day.
all the way.
Yes, all the way. Full day in sports. We hope you join us again tomorrow night for your Delta News at 10. But for now, good night.